The money follows the passion. The money follows the purpose. I say that all the time, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
We chase the wrong things, right, doctor?
Welcome back to another episode of the Thrive State Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. V, triple board certified MD, performance and longevity expert, and best-selling author of Thrive State, Your Blueprint to Optimal Health, Longevity, and Peak Performance. And on today's episode, it's a little bit different from the other episodes because I actually get to be interviewed by a very special guest, Kien Gravel. You'll find out more about Kien in a second, but what I wanted to do on this episode and why I wanted to include her was that she does such an excellent job interviewing. She brought in tears, she brought in laughter. You'll hear more about the bioenergetic model, more about the bioenergetic state, how to get our children into the Thrive state, and certainly a lot of fun and questions that she asked. And you'll just see why I wanted to include this episode into the Thrive State podcast as well. And again, if this episode or if this podcast has brought in value to you and those that you love, please like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends. And you know what? When you go to ratethispodcast.com/Thrive State and leave us a 5-star review, that really helps the show grow. Now, this is a very special episode because I really get to share my story. You know, it's one of the things I don't get to do when I'm hosting the podcast, but in this episode, we actually borrowed this episode from Kien Gravel. She's actually the host of LOL with Kien. Please find her podcast. Please find this episode and many, many more episodes at lolkim.com. That's LOLKIM.com. Now, a little bit more about our host. Kien Gravel is an entrepreneur, a television personality, a public speaker, and industry leader. But most of all, she has a passion for people and seeing them rise. Her authentic common sense style has resulted in Kien being one of the most booked guests on the Steve Harvey Show and starring in the hit weekly docu-series King of Queens on the Lifetime Network. In 2016, Kien partnered with television and on-time retail giant QVC to launch her highly successful apparel line, Belle by Kien Gravel. And a year later, the Belle Beauty cosmetic line. In only 5 years, Kien had grown her Belle brands from 0 to over 100 million in annual sales, with projections reflecting continued record growth. In 1991, at the age of 19, Kien became one of the youngest Miss Georgias in the state pageant's history. She went on to represent her home state in the renowned Miss America pageant and thus was asked to serve as U.S. Goodwill Ambassador to Japan, where she spoke to corporations and the Japanese parliament. Combining her expertise, skills of communication, and leadership, Kien is also a certified life coach. Her compassionate yet straightforward Dr. Phil-esque style keeps her in high demand as a life coach, mentor, advisor, and consultant. Kien is a sought-after keynote speaker, specializing in the areas of women empowerment, inspirational motivation, and beauty and image perception. She also hosts her own sold-out women's conferences annually in Atlanta. She lives in Metro Atlanta with her husband, Travis, and her 2 young boys, Bo and Blayton. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this episode with Kien Gravel and yours truly, Dr. V.
Okay, Zach.
Hey, Kien.
Our guest this week, I need him more than you need him.
Okay.
You know, that seems to be a recurring role on the podcast. I'm like airing all my dirty laundry, all of my like mental breakdowns, my body breakdown, everything on this show. Thanks a lot, Zach.
Look, Kien, your name is on the podcast, so this is all about your mental stuff. We don't even want to get into mine, all right? Like, there's just...
We don't have enough time for that, do we?
No.
Say the same thing. No, I'm serious. It's like I'm living my best life on the show. I'm getting free therapy.
Yep.
I'm learning so much about, you know, like country music. I mean, everything I've got, you know, ever wanted to do, we're doing on the show. And this actual guest is no exception. You know why?
Okay, no, tell me why.
So just real quick, I mean, I know you know how old I am because we've had that discussion several times, but how old do you think I look? Now, carefully choose your answer, okay?
So this is a trap.
This is
I
a
know that.
total
I know
like.
this is a trap.
Okay, I'm training you up as the way you should go with your wife for the future and your daughter. So, how old do you think I look?
If I hold on, I'm just gonna close my eyes and I'm gonna look.
Okay.
I saw you on the street. 26.
Okay, you're brilliant. You're a total liar, but you're brilliant. Because I'm to the point like I will buy the BS. Right? I'm researching plastic surgery. I am going down the Botox lane. I'm totally
if I'm the
doing.
Bartender, I'm carding you. I'm telling
So
you
I
right
want to
now.
tell you really quick this funny story. So I'm on TikTok or Instagram, one of those little things that I'm trying to stay cool and hip with all the kids. And I saw this thing called the pucker upper.
Okay.
Okay, it's this machine that you put on your lips. Because my lips, I used to have really juicy, thick, beautiful, full lips. I know it's hard to believe because I draw outside the lines of my lip liner, but I don't want to get injections and all that because I'm freaking out about it because I would end up like duck lips. But you just suck on this thing. You put your lips in it, and it sucks your lips and swells up your lips to make you look, like younger, fuller lips. I'm there, Zach. I'm desperate. Okay.
I have
our next guest.
I literally don't even know what to say to that. So just let's bring out our guest.
So anytime we say pucker upper during this podcast, take a drink. Okay. Because our next guest is really gonna help me, and he's gonna really educate you, but really help me and all of us listening that are trying to do the anti-aging thing. We're trying to have this optimal health. We're trying to, really optimize our, humanness.
Okay. Yeah. And
he's going to help us do it.
I'm glad you're not bringing me into it because I'm clearly like the picture of optimal health.
Okay. All right.
Like I have like a full bag of chips next to me.
I wish I could do the wah, wah, wah.
Oh, don't worry. I can do that.
Do it for me. Do it.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah yourself.
All right.
Pucker upper. You can't even. Thank you. We need our guest who is here right now, Dr. Kien Vu. We're going to call him Dr. V. Welcome to the show. LOL. Hey, Dr. V.
Hey, it's great to be here. I am looking forward to LOLing.
You've already LOL'd us many times before we even brought you on the show. You're a big LOL. I just want to say, for those of you who cannot see Dr. V, he's so hot. Just saying.
Wow.
Okay. How old are you, Dr. V?
I am 43.
How old do you think I look, Dr. V?
27.
Oh.
I'm giving you snaps. No,
Right,
okay.
there you go.
So you're going to tell us everything about anti-aging, health optimization. Tell me a little bit about you. I've already introduced you and told all your credentials and everything and how wonderful you are. You were a refugee. You have, really experienced life.
Yeah.
Tell me how I can do this thing. How can I Benjamin Button it? How can I age backwards? Can I?
You definitely can. And it's just about waking up, actually. It's a matter of just waking up. Because
what do you mean by that?
Our DNA tells us exactly, they give us the instructions of how we should live our life. And we actually get a strand from mom, a strand from dad. And a lot of people think, all right, having this DNA is set in stone how my life or how my longevity will be. That's actually not the case. The fact of the matter is the DNA is this dynamic thing that constantly interacts with its environment. Now, when you're born, I have a 7-year-old daughter, or I have a 7-year-old bonus daughter, and I have a 7-month-old daughter. They're both 7. All right. And I look at them and I look at their childlike nature and who they are. And you know what? If they don't need something, if something's not hurting, there's this actual glow to them. Right. So our DNA actually encodes everything that we enjoy and everything about our authenticity. It's in our DNA. But as we go through life, we are told, as we're going up, hey, that's not going to be a career. That's not the gender you're supposed to like. This is not what you're supposed to be. And soon we start to tell ourselves the story that, who I am, who I authentically am is not enough. And in fact, coming over on a boat, I was spent 8 months on a boat.
Yeah.
just docked outside Manila Bay, another 3 months in a Philippine refugee camp before I was, sponsored to America by a Catholic church. And you would think a child going through those experiences, being the only infant to survive, would be very grateful. But, I really early, I got bused to a more affluent area for school, and I was constantly being teased for being poor, for being an immigrant, for the holes in my hand-me-down clothes, for the stinky food my mom sent me to school with. Go back to your home country, Chinky. I got that all the time. And, those things really sent a message to me. And it told me at the time that I cannot be who I am. I cannot have my own skin. And, I just remember just wanting to be someone else, right? I wanted to be richer. I wanted to be taller. I wanted to be more white. I wanted to have a more American family. And that those negative energies made me create this shell that, that held this energy of I'm not enough. And that kind of plagued me throughout my life. And so here's the thing is our DNA, it vibrates to a certain environment and energy, and it's all really truly love. But we learn these things throughout life about how we eat, how we sleep, how we approach the world, and how we become. And if you start becoming somebody that you're not meant to be, that doesn't match with your DNA, that brings about dissonance, all right? And your body starts to feel stressed. Guess what happens when you start to feel stress? Well, people reach out and do stress, handle stress very differently. Some will reach for food. Some will reach for porn. Some will reach for cigarettes. All right, and you pick up these bad habits, and those bad habits eventually turn you into somebody you're not. And that's why, as a medical doctor being trained at UCSD, UCLA, National Institutes of Health, Howard Hughes Medical Institute, this person that went through all that training still got disease myself 5 years ago. I was overweight. I was diabetic. I was hypertensive. I was on all these prescription medications, and I didn't realize I didn't have the tools to understand what wellness really was. And it wasn't until I did a deep look into health, understand, this concept called epigenetics, which is all this DNA that I'm talking about, to understand a little bit more nutrition, understand a little bit more myself, that I'm like, I started to heal myself by being a little bit authentic, more in match with who I am. It started to beginning by accepting myself, loving myself, and understanding who I really, really was, and living that life.
Okay, I got to ask you, I got to stop you right, because there's so many questions.
Yeah.
Okay, you're blowing my mind, Zach. You know how I get. I'm over here going, hallelujah. I'm over here raising my hand going, okay, Dr. V. So there's I have to say this word before I forget it.
Yeah.
You called it genetic. What was the genetic word you said?
Oh, epigenetics.
Epigenetics. Okay, remember that. Yep. Epigenetics. But what I want to do is I've got to ask you an original question, because what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying it's almost, for lack of a better word, maybe this is not the right word, it's almost a spiritual, emotional thing, and then it's a medical thing, and they combined. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm hearing you say, which I'm excited about.
So the science is starting to catch up, because we look at our genes, right? There's actually multiple things, but I want to point to two things. We got things called telomeres. So telomeres are these.
I'm writing this down. Hold on. Telomeres.
Telomeres. All right.
Okay. Is this in your book?
It's in my book.
Okay. All right. I'm getting the book. Go ahead.
So basically what they are these caps at the end of our DNA that actually protects our DNA from shortening, and it protects our cells from aging. And then it turns out there's certain things that we do to help maintain our telomeres, and there's certain things that help shrink down our telomeres, which leads us to accelerated aging and disease.
Okay. What are those things? Just give us those things.
Well, those things are exactly what I talk about in my book. And these are 7 major things. They are sleep, nutrition, movement, stress and emotional mastery, our thoughts and mindset, relationship, and having a sense of purpose. Those 7 things actually protect your DNA. And also, there's this other thing in our DNA. I won't get too medical or technical. It's called the Conserve transcriptional response to adversity. Basically, there's these stress genes, all right? And they get activated. When they get activated, inflammation goes up, our immunity goes down. That's also sets us up for getting chronic disease. And
I'm bloated right now. I'm bloated and inflamed right now.
And guess what? Those same 7 things, if you work on them, can actually quiet down that stress gene, or, and you optimize them, you actually turn those things off. So within our DNA, they're telling us how we should be living our lives.
Wow.
We should be living our lives focused on those 7 things and focusing on our authenticity, which is also the spiritual aspect. Because
Absolutely.
we have our sleep, nutrition, and exercise. Those are our physical energies. Then we have the emotion and stress mastery. That's our emotional energy. Then we have our thoughts and mindset, which is the mental energy. Then, like you just said, we have relationships and community, as well as that sense of purpose, which is really the spiritual aspect. And those things are written in our DNA. So we just have to give our DNA the environment and the being that we're meant to be.
Oh, I love this. Okay. So I love how because I've seen so many people who are like at optimum health, meaning from their physicality, their nutrition and their exercise and all of that. And then they drop dead. Yeah. And then I've seen people who are super, super spiritual because, I grew up in the church and I grew up in a place, and we would just eat like crazy and you'd have the, fried chickens and and, they would drop dead. So you're saying it is this mastery and this amazing harmony that's within the DNA that really makes a difference.
Absolutely. You basically need all those energies working together to get optimal health, longevity, and what we all want, peak performance as well.
Peak performance. Okay. So let's talk about that genetic word that you said, because that, tickled my ears a little bit.
It's called epigenetics. So
epigenetic. Okay.
Like epidermis is the top of our skin. So it means above. Genetics means genes. So what it tells us is this, which is what I shared earlier, is like the genes, ultimately what sets the state, how our cells behave, our biology is all determined by how our genes are actually expressed, because our gene, it's which genes are turned off, which genes are turned on, right? So you've got a set of DNA from mom and dad, but not every single gene is played at any time. It's just like the entire play of a playbook, on the field. You have to pick the right play to play at the right time, then you're going to win the game. The same goes on with our genes. And our DNA is constantly listening to its environment in order to figure out which genes are played. And its environment is dictated by those 7 factors that I told you. Those 7 factors are energies that our DNA constantly listens to. If you optimize those 7 things, then you're playing your genes in such a way to give you optimal health, longevity, and peak performance. You give it the wrong energy, your DNA thinks that there's danger. And guess what? When there's danger, inflammation goes up, immune system goes down, chronic symptoms, chronic disease. This is why America, compared to the rest of the world, is dealing so poorly with COVID, because they just don't have the capacity to handle that stress. If you optimize those 7 things, you optimize your health, you could handle it much, much better.
But when you say optimize your health in those 7 things, I'm stressed out. Is it easy? Like, it's already stressing me out how can we do that in an easy, natural, manageable way?
Yeah, great question. So when you read the book, you'll see those 7 things. Then I'll give you a list of each things to do in all those 7 things. And now some people will look at that and say, oh my God, this is so much overwhelm. I can't handle all those things.
Right.
Well, here's the cool thing. Here's the cool thing about how this all works is you can list down each one of those things that could potentially help to improve your health. And you pick the thing that has the lowest barrier of entry for you.
Ooh.
Right? The easiest thing for you to do. Is it 10 push-ups? Is it journaling before you go to bed? Is it having a meditation routine? And the thing is, do that one thing first. Forget about everything else. Work on that one thing. Once you build that into a habit, energetically, your hormones will start to change. You'll start to notice different growth factors that are happening biologically in your body. You're going to start to feel a shift in your body. All of a sudden, you worked in this new habit. Your body starts to feel different. So the next thing you tackle is going to be easier.
Makes sense.
All those things are energetically connected. So one, I say, don't have the overwhelm. One, have the awareness that you are in control of how your DNA.
Hey, come on now. Come on. Say that again, Dr. V.
Okay. I'm going to have to preach it. You're in control.
Hello.
DNA is expressed, right? You are in control.
Can I get an amen? Can I get a hallelujah? Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Thank you. Good for you.
Know that, then just take small baby steps to get there.
Okay. So Dr. V, how can we, because I have two children. Okay. I have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old, and they're boys. And so you just fill in the blank with all the craziness of my life. How can I start introducing this kind of thinking, this kind of these 7 steps into my children's life? There's a lot of parents listening right now. They're overwhelmed. Kids have so much pressure. You know this, social media, school, all this win mentality. How can we incorporate these 7 things into our kids' lives? Is it the same way, or do you have any tips and tricks for that?
Well, sometimes, definitely for adults, they get to a point where they've got brain fog or they've got the symptoms, and they're reaching out for help. So that's a great question. How do you reach your kids? And I think one, we really need to listen to them and to see what motivates them. Right?
Okay.
And then when you see what motivates them, what lights them up, number one, that's going to put you in tune to sort of like the spiritual things in their life.
Yeah.
What lights them up? Because if you could tap into that, because, we could talk about purpose in a second, how to rediscover our Our kids know that, because purpose is really being the most authentic version of ourselves, tapping into the things that bring us joy, and then sharing that with our community. That's what purpose is. So we know the things that light them up, and we listen to them, and we encourage that. One, they're going to be lit up to do that. But you say, hey, how do you do that better now? This thing that brings you so much joy, whether it be teaching, whether it be playing a sport, whatever those things are, well, naturally, they're going to want to get better at it. So if you have something that is a carrot for them, you can say, oh my God, if I start to sleep better, all of a sudden I could shoot better in basketball, and I want to make a basketball team. Or say they want to be a YouTuber, and they want to share their voice and their message, right? If you start to focus on maybe what lights them up, what brings them joy, and you realize that focusing on these 7 things will give them more of that, that will be the carrot, and they'll start to listen to that.
I love what you just said. What lights you up? It's so funny, Dr. V. I was actually having this moment today as I was working in my office, and there was just this one little thing I love to create. And so I just created this little logo to go on this small beauty item that we're manufacturing right now. And when I did it, I was excited. I can't tell you. I mean, it lit me up, and I'm thinking, this is weird. You know what I'm saying? It was just that little bit of thing. But you're saying we can find that in everything that we love to do, right?
Absolutely.
Like, let's explain that to people, because we do it. I got cold chills too. Yep. We experience it, but we don't recognize that we're experiencing it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, I had a pause moment and said, ooh, this feels good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those things, again, the things that make you feel good, those are wired into your DNA. Now, some of them, we got programmed into like desiring certain things that don't really make us feel good.
Right.
But they're natural things, particularly in kids.
Natural highs.
They know, the things. And then we as adults say, hey, you know what? You're spending way too much time doing that one thing that makes you feel great. You should just start doing these.
Right. It's balance. Right? Yeah.
Right? So, this episode of the Thrive State podcast is brought to you by the Thrive State Accelerator. The Thrive State Accelerator is actually a home course that I developed using the exact same techniques I work with my celebrity clients, CEOs, and executives on how to get them to the Thrive State. The Thrive State Accelerator teaches you how to master your 7 bioenergetic elements. That's sleep, nutrition, movement, stress and emotional mastery, relationships, our thoughts and mindset, as well as purpose. In this Thrive State Accelerator, you're also going to get a bonus module on optimization. That's how I talk about supplementation, peptides, all the optimization techniques I use with my clients to get them to the Thrive State. Now, for some of you who are just joining us for the first time, you guys might be wondering, what is the Thrive State? Well, the Thrive State is actually the energy, the epigenetic environment we give to ourselves, telling our DNA how to act and how to respond. And if we want optimal health, longevity, and peak performance, if we can master these 7 bioenergetic elements, our ability to have those 3 things that we just said, optimal health, longevity, and peak performance, is at its greatest. And it also prevents you from getting chronic symptoms like brain fog, being overweight, feeling sluggish, acne, pain, all these chronic symptoms, as well as preventing you from getting chronic disease. So getting to that thrive state is really getting to that state to master being that very best version of yourself so you could show up for you, for your family, for your business, everything that's important to you. So go ahead, check it out right now at kienfood.com/accelerator and use coupon code podcast25 for 25% off. Now back to the podcast. So it's so important because I'm going to go like one of those 7 things is stress and emotional mastery. So let me tell you that the emotions of anger, fear, resentment, hate, worry, anxiety, all those things actually turn on those stress genes in your body.
Poison. Whereas
emotions of love, of joy, of gratitude, of being lit up, those positive vibrational emotional states, those are actually anti-aging medicines. And the strongest, most elevated emotion at all is the emotion of gratitude. That turns on all these things in your body and it's so healing. So it is so important that you talk about feeling lit up about what you do, because what
I love that.
Because the purpose of the thing that actually lights you up the most, and then just sharing that with the world, that's bringing it in community, bringing in other people, sharing the authentic version of you, the happy version of you, which is again in your DNA. It's when you try to live a life that's, different from what you really are.
Yeah,
exactly. That brings in that dissonance and stress.
But don't you think that's the ultimate commodity? I think everybody is looking for, we always chasing money, or, we're taught, like you said, we're programmed to chase money, to chase fame, to chase likes, to chase sex, to chase whatever.
Yes.
And really what will satisfy us is that purpose that you're talking about. But it's an overused word, Dr. V. I mean, if I hear purpose one more time, I'm just like, wah, wah, wah. You know what I'm saying?
So purpose is pretty important when it comes down to our health, because purpose, again, if you got a deep sense of purpose, the studies show you live 7 years longer.
Wow.
You lower your risk of getting the #1 killer in America, which is heart attack and stroke, cardiovascular disease. If you happen to be in a hospital, purpose actually reduces your hospital stay. So purpose is important. But like you said, it could be the super word like finding my purpose. Oh my God. I remember once I found out the information that purpose did so well, I was like in this analysis of paralysis in my head. Like, what is my purpose?
Right. Exactly.
But it actually doesn't have to be so difficult, and is actually rather quite simple. It's not really about finding
how do we find
purpose. It's about remembering.
Shut up.
Right? Remembering who you are, remembering the things that bring you joy, remembering all those things. And you remember that and you live that way, and you just share you with the world. So here it is. Your purpose is you. Your purpose is you.
You need to say that one more time, because I'm sitting here thinking on that.
Your purpose is you.
It is.
Yeah, that's it.
It is quite simple. And it's so funny that we're talking about anti-aging and how to, live this optimal human life that we're so blessed to have. I mean, we really are. And one of the best, times in life, and one of the best nations in life. And I mean, just we're really blessed. But when you say this gratitude and this purpose and these 7 things, what would you say the first small step we can take to turn the clock back, to start this reverse aging? We're always saying anti-age, but I'm not hearing you say anti. I'm hearing you're saying, remember, embrace, you already are.
Yeah.
What is that? How did you come up with that?
Well, it was basically, having to overcome the gift I was given of disease, right? The gift of, so here's the other thing with purpose too. One quick point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not only is it just, sharing the most authentic version of yourself, your purpose is actually the gifts of the struggles in your life that you have overcome. Now you've got a superpower because you've overcome this one thing. And I realized this, like I wanted to be, the speaker before when I was a kid and wanted to go into media.
It was already there.
Right. But it was actually then I was gifted with being overweight, diabetic, hypertensive.
Right.
I needed shoulder surgery. I wasn't able to do surgery for a couple of months. And the woman I thought I was going to marry left me for another man. How are they gifts? Because they allowed me to go through the journey to understand what true healing really, really was. And so step number one, I think really is, number one, pick up the book. So you understand.
I'm picking up the book. The book is bought. Okay.
So that you understand this.
Yeah.
It's just to wake up of how you're living your life. And if you are aligned with of how your genes and your DNA told you to be. And then once you recognize that, you're like, oh, okay, what are the other things I need to do? So you look at those 7 things. And again, do the easiest thing first. That's how you start, because anything that feels like a big resistance, particularly when you're a state where you're not ready to do that, you're not going to enjoy it. So pick the easiest thing to do. Once you do that, you're going to build energetic momentum. One, you're going to build a positive feedback loop saying, wow, I was able to do something. It feels pretty good. Let me get the next thing now. And then that's just going to add to that. And that's how all these things came together. And yes, it was now there's a lot of additional research in both science and medicine that's telling us, of how our destiny is encoded in our genes.
You know what? I believe that's your next book. I really do believe that's your next book, because you also talk about this. I'm going to kind of pivot a little bit, because everybody listening to podcasts, I just love the podcast world, because there's just so many gems and nuggets of just, knowledge and experience and, all of that. But you talk about a side hustle, and I hear that a lot. Like everyone's like, my side hustle. And actually I had a friend call me today talking about her side hustle and her business and all that, and how, her passion is her side hustle, but she's having to work a full-time job. And I did that for decades before I achieved, what I'm doing and what I love now. Mm-hmm. How important is a side hustle, and how do you live out your passion through that?
That's a great question. Well, the first thing I ask is this, are you already living a life and vibrating because you are in a job that you love? Because if you're already in that state, you've reached sort of nirvana. But I think many people probably are not.
They're not.
I agree with you. You get a certain job, you're stuck somewhere, and you're like, how do I start to switch out of that? And so one, I would probably say, just like treat it as a side hustle first, because being broke is
not fun.
It's going to bring stress about, and the stress is going to bring more issues. But one thing is, when you do something else, again, find the activity that's going to light you up a little bit.
Yeah, I love that.
Joy in your life, right? You start to do that. All right. That in itself, it might not pay you at first, but that energy and emotion that you get. I mean, why do we want to be rich?
Because it's a commodity. It's a payment. Yeah, it pays you.
We're taught it's going to make us feel a certain way.
Good, and there's nothing better than that,
right? So if you can feel good doing that, number one, that is your reward. And guess what? Once you start to do that, and you really are doing that thing, you're like, oh my God, I'm connecting with all these people. How can I serve more people doing that one thing? Mm-hmm. And automatically your side hustle will start to kind of grow organically. And it won't be, okay, I'm doing this other thing because I hate my job, but I really need to make money from this side hustle. That's giving way too much pressure for yourself. So have the side hustle to one, complete that part of you, bring those extra emotional, good feelings in your life, have that be that case. And I think the more you do it that way, the ideas to come to be able to serve more people with your side hustle will come in. And then when you are vibrating in such a way in the side hustle, you're feeling so good, you're going to attract people in. And guess what? The dollars are going to come in that way as well.
The money follows the money follows the passion. The money follows the purpose. I say that all the time, and I totally agree. Yeah. We chase the wrong things, right, doctor?
Absolutely. The Dalai Lama had this quote, or they attribute it to this story of the Dalai Lama when he was asked what he found most interesting about humanity. Mm-hmm. And he says, man, because he would sacrifice his health in order to make money, and then sacrifice his money to recuperate his health.
It's just a cycle.
So many of my clients come to me, for that exact thing. They've reached, this outside thing of success and money. Mm-hmm. And like, why am I not fulfilled? I got everything, but yet I'm fat, I'm overweight, I've got diabetes or pre-diabetes. Dr. V, now you need to help me.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Dr. V, we need you. Okay, so you got to get Dr. V's book. You've got to listen to his podcast. But I just want to say, in closing, I want you to tell everyone listening, including myself, Dr. V, is this to have this optimal health, this optimal life, I'm going to get emotional.
Yeah.
I got to take a minute because what you just said really touched me, because I've been working so hard for so long. And I've reached a level of success and I'm very proud of it. But what did I sacrifice to get there emotionally, mentally, physically? And so it's this big reevaluation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's one thing you can tell people that gives us hope in living I think, and Dr. V, Zach, you can too. I think everybody just wants to have meaning.
Yeah.
And they want that meaning to be validated. And they want to be loved.
Yeah.
I think that's what we all have in common. I don't care where you're from. But if you bleed red and you're a human being, I think even animals want that. I mean, I just think that we just want that. What is one thing you could share with the audience and myself and Zach? Like, everybody listening, how can we get that, Dr. V?
Yeah, I think if you've got maybe symptoms in your life or you're feeling like things are off, remember one thing: that's not you. The true you is full of love. And if you are aligned with that, you're going to receive more of that. And you are your best medicine. So you it. Okay. Zach.
Oh my God.
Man, I'm in love with this. I'm in love with Dr. V. Oh, I'm getting this book, everything.
I mean,
okay.
It doesn't hurt that he's like a hunk.
He does. He's a hunk of burning love. I mean, he really is. And it just, Dr. V, you're just such a real talker. Most people who are MDs in the medical profession, I mean, you're so accomplished, not only with your books, but, UCLA, you have so much training. But really, I just feel like you're one of us. You're fighting and challenging and, inspiring all of us. And that's what it's, thank you.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think we each have been gifted things in our life to be able to make us better people so that we could be aligned with who we are, and then we share our gifts, and we all have gifts. So I'm glad you guys are doing what you guys are doing.
Well, you just got to you it.
Yeah, exactly.
You it. I love that. Okay. So we can't let you go because, this is LOL. So we need to LOL with you a little bit because is laughter, laughter does the body good like a medicine. I mean,
absolutely. Laughter is medicine. We can go into the science, but it's going to bore you. But yes, laugh more.
I love to laugh. I love to laugh till I pee on myself, and that's an aging thing. But that's another show, Dr. V. You have to come back on that. Okay, so we have this thing called rapid fire where we're just going to say, now look, okay, I say this to every single guest that's on the show. Very few people, Dr. V, get it. I know you're going to get it, though. Right. I can tell because I can just tell, your stuff. So I'm going to ask you a question. Don't think about it. The first thing comes to your mind, pop out. I don't care how ridiculous it is. Okay.
All right. Does it have to be one word or one sentence?
No, honey, do what you feel. Do what you feel. Right. Okay. Good. What's your favorite movie?
Last Emperor.
Ooh, good one. Oh, that is so good. Why? I have to know now.
Well, now you need to know. Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an actor, and I grew up in Chinatown, LA, and I auditioned for the movie. And a few auditions later, we get a phone call. My mom says, hey, your son got the role for the movie. My younger brother, who did not want to do acting, actually went to the audition. Asshole took the movie from me, but I'm still very proud of him. And it won the most Academy Awards ever prior to Titanic, 9 Academy Awards. And it's my best movie.
He totally got the movie. He didn't even go to audition for it. See that your purpose finds you. I know, right? Look at you right here. I love that. Okay, if you could be an animal, what would it be?
Eagle.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Oh, me too. Oh, me too. Zach, what would you be?
Oh, I was hoping you weren't going to ask me that because I have nothing. A bear. A bear.
You would be a bear.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say that.
But like a cuddly bear.
In hibernation. You'd be a bear in hibernation.
Oh, I would love to. You know what?
I know you would.
Yes, please.
And that's a whole other show, Dr. V. We got to talk.
I have young kids too, so like none of us are sleeping. It's the thing.
Zach is stressed. We need you. We need to have Dr. V back on about how to manage stress. Okay. Do you really want to be 105 years old, Dr. V?
Well, longer.
No.
150, 180. Yeah. Well, we normally think about aging as you get old and decrepit. But what if you could maintain the energy, the youth, the service, and the purpose for longer? Or we can rethink that. And I think it's possible now.
Well, let me just say this. Like, so this is so funny that you're saying 105 because today, my son Bo, who's in the 9th grade, he's taking Western civilization and he goes to a private like Christian school. And one of his questions on his quizzy was, how old was the oldest man that's ever lived? And he was 969 years old. It was in the Bible. I'm just saying, if you go on 105, let's go big or go home. I say 900. Okay, here we go.
Wait, but I want to know. Wait, did you say that that's going to be possible to go to like 180?
I think the science is certainly there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the anti-aging field with regenerating new tissues, stem cell work, gene work, and things like that. So we're certainly getting there.
Oh, well, let me know when you find it.
All right.
Let me know when you find it. Okay. What is your guilty pleasure?
Ooh, sex. I don't think I should.
I don't think that's guilty. I don't think. How is that guilty? No, you got to give us something. Give us something seedier than that.
Okay. Another guilty pleasure would be there's these Mexican candies that are filled with
what are they?
That are just so mouth-watering. And I know they're so not healthy for me, and I have to hide them when I bring them home. But that's a guilty pleasure.
I love it.
Yeah.
Is it a hard candy? It's not a cake or anything.
No, they're basically either these spicy.
Oh, you're a spicy person. You're a spicy dude. Okay, got it. That makes sense.
Well, sex is spicy,
Well, sex is not a guilty pleasure. That's just, doesn't every dude just want that all the time? So, okay. That's just a pleasure. What is one thing that if we learned about you, we'd be shocked?
You guys already know I'm a refugee. You guys already know my brother's story.
I was shocked you had diabetes.
What's that? Oh,
I was shocked about.
Okay, yeah. Maybe people were like, "Oh, wow, you were overweight, diabetic." Yeah. People.
I can't even see that about you. I mean, you are just the epitome of perfection. What was is that family that was a diabetic family oriented, or just food, diet, and things?
Definitely, it was I have a family predisposition, which is what our genes give us, but we have control over those genes given the environment we give to our genes. And it was I got the genetic disposition. Then I was not sleeping, I wasn't eating, I wasn't moving. And so I got it very, very early at the age of 36, 37, but I was able to reverse it in 6 months when I figured it out.
Oh my God. All right, I'm definitely calling you. Okay. Do you have any secret talent you'd like to share?
I karaoke pretty well.
Oh, give us your best karaoke line. What's the song? What's your go-to, man? What's your go-to?
Yeah, I want to know.
That love and feeling.
Woo!
Whoa, that love and feeling. You lost that love feeling. Now it's gone. Whoa.
Do. Oh my gosh, you're good. Remind me to never karaoke with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I love it. Okay, what is one thing that you do that wastes your time, but you do it anyway?
Overthink.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, overthink.
Zach, I hate to read your mail right here, but Zach is an overthinker. I have to say, dude. Okay. Wonder why that is.
Our brains are kind of programmed that way, to seek out danger. And a lot of times we just have to recognize, okay, we're going to turn that, part of our brain off, either worrying about the past or the future. No, just be now. So it's there, but when you can recognize it, it's like, okay, you know what? Let's get out of there.
Yeah, just turn it. Okay. One last final rapid fire question. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
Who's your favorite celebrity crush?
My favorite celebrity crush would be Kobe Bryant.
That's a good one.
I just remembered now, only because it was his birthday like a day or two ago. And
that's a good one.
I just love the work ethic, and who he became as a man. I mean, certainly he went through his trials and tribulation with rape cases and things like that. But knowing that you can overcome that to constantly evolve to become a better person. And, look, the guy that he's become, not in the basketball world, but when he retired, the father he became, fighting for like women's sports and creating things for the next generation. I found that very inspiring. So celebrity crush, Kobe Bryant.
I love that. And I think it's a perfect way to end today's discussion, because he truly did live his passion, live his purpose, and Absolutely. It came out. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. V. I love you already. I can't wait to get the book. Tell us how we can get a hold of you, your podcast, your books. How can we get more of Dr. V?
All right. So, hell, if you want a book or if you want a sample of the book, go to thrivestatebook.com. You could find me on my website, which is KIENVUU.com. And I'm all over social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, at KienVuMD. The podcast name is Thrive State Podcast, and hope to meet some of your audience over in my world. Yeah,
I'm telling you, we needed what you were throwing down today. We really did. I love you so much. Will you come back?
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. V. We love you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot, Dr. V.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Thrive State Podcast. Again, please thank Kim Gravel for being such an awesome host. You could find her content and this episode, along with many, many more episodes of good stuff, at lolkim.com. That's LOLKIM.com. And if you haven't already, pick up a copy of Thrive State, your blueprint for optimal health, longevity, and peak performance at thrivestatebook.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, comment, and share this episode with your family and friends who might need it. Again, you can help this podcast thrive by going to ratethispodcast.com/thrivestate. Please leave us a 5-star review. It will help the show grow. Until next time, remember, you are your best medicine.